The film begins at a construction site where Levon Cade is leading his crew as they prepare to start the day's work. Levon shares a deep bond with the Garcia family, who own the construction company. He sees them as more than colleagues, they're like family. While on site, Levon notices a group of thugs harassing one of his workers. He calmly asks them to leave, but when they escalate the violence, Levon responds by hurling a bucket of nails at them and taking them down with calculated force. More attackers arrive, but Levon holds his ground, skillfully defending himself and driving them off. Afterward, the shaken young man asks how Levon managed to fight them all. Nearby, Jenny, the Garcia's teenage daughter, witnesses the entire scene. She chooses to stay silent but asks Levon if he'll always have her back. He promises he will. Outside of work, Levon is a single father fighting to stay close to his daughter Meredith, affectionately called Mary, who currently lives with her grandfather, Dr. Roth. Roth harbors deep resentment toward Levon, blaming him for the death of his daughter, Levon's late wife. Levon, however, reveals to his legal team that she died by suicide while they were serving overseas. Despite Roth's vast financial resources and high-powered legal team aiming to strip Levon of custody, Levon is determined and well-prepared to fight for his place in Mary's life. Meanwhile, Jenny sneaks out one night to a club with friends. Unbeknownst to them, they are being watched by a criminal couple, Viper and Artemis, who are hunting for a girl to deliver to a client. They zero in on Jenny and abduct her after she attempts to help an intoxicated friend. They silence her with a glue trap over her mouth and drag her into a van, setting off the film's darker turn. On Monday morning, Levon is approached by Jenny's parents, Joe and Carla, who are desperate and worried. They reveal that Jenny has been missing since Friday night and express their frustration with the police, believing the authorities won't be of any help. Joe, aware of Levon's past as a Green Beret, appeals to him, knowing he has the skills to track dangerous people. Levon, however, insists that his days of violence are behind him. Despite his hesitation, Levon later visits an old friend and fellow veteran, Gunny Lefferty, a man who lost his sight during a mission but owes his life to Levon. During their conversation, Levon confides in Gunny about Jenny's disappearance. The talk seems to push Levon toward action. That evening, he visits the Garcia home again and speaks with Joe, making it clear that he considers them family and subtly hinting that he will do whatever it takes to bring Jenny back. Levon's investigation begins at the nightclub Jenny was last seen in. There, he tracks down Johnny, a bartender with ties to local criminals. Levon storms into Johnny's apartment and waterboards him for information. The interrogation is interrupted when two of Johnny's associates arrive, hearing his cries for help. In a brutal confrontation, Levon uses Johnny as a human shield and kills both intruders before taking their money. The aftermath catches the attention of Volo Kolisnik, a senior figure in the Bratva, who begins to suspect someone is targeting their organization. Levin escalates his war by infiltrating Wolo's home after witnessing him assault his wife. He knocks Wolo unconscious and ties him to a chair suspended by a rope above a pool. Levon warns him to stay quiet, or risk drowning. During the interrogation, Wolo curses in Russian and mentions someone named Dimi, blaming him for the chaos. Without mercy, Levon cuts the rope, letting Wolo fall to his death. Wolo's body is later discovered by his brother, Simon Karchenko, the head of the Bratva. Enraged, Simon dispatches his two sons Danya and Vanko to hunt Levon down. In his search for Dimi, Levon meets Dutch, a local drug kingpin. Posing as a dealer, Levon initiates a meeting. Dutch, however, is suspicious and sends his men to test him. Levon swiftly takes them down. Impressed by his combat skills and recognizing him as a fellow soldier, Dutch develops a mutual respect for Levon. He agrees to help and connects him with two of his contacts, Artemis and her associate Dougie, to set the next phase of the mission in motion. Artemis and Viper deliver Jenny to their client, Mr. Broward, who intends to assault her while she appears unconscious. However, Jenny turns the tables. She's fully awake and fiercely bites a large chunk out of his cheek, leaving him enraged and bleeding. Meanwhile, Levon continues to maintain his cover as a drug dealer through his connection with Dutch, eventually meeting the elusive Dimi. When Levon attempts to infiltrate Demi's biker bar, Artemis spots him on the surveillance cameras and immediately dispatches her men to take him down. Levon makes a quick escape, stealing a motorcycle and speeding into the woods. The pursuit ends violently when he crashes into a police cruiser, but instead of help, he finds more danger. The two officers, Sergeant Von Trask and Deputy Detweiler, are corrupt and working for the criminals. Soon Danya and Vanko arrive, pay off the cops, and seize Levon. Inside their van, the brothers attempt to restrain and torture Levon in retaliation for their uncle's death. But Levon fights back ferociously, turning the confined space into a battleground. In the chaos, the driver is accidentally shot and killed, and Levon quickly gains the upper hand, killing both Danya and Vanko. After escaping, he pushes the blood-soaked van into a river to cover his tracks. When Simon later discovers the corpses of his sons at the morgue, he is consumed with rage, vowing to make the conflict with Levon deeply personal. Elsewhere, the criminal organization strikes at Dr. Roth's home, having uncovered Levon's true identity. Levon realizes something is wrong when Roth fails to pick up Mary from school. Sensing danger, he retrieves her himself and returns to find Roth's house engulfed in flames. Braving the fire, Levon rescues Roth just before emergency responders arrive. Though Roth blames Levon for bringing violence into their lives, Mary reminds him that Levon also saved it. Recognizing the growing threat, Levon takes Mary to stay with Gunny and his wife, placing her in the safest hands he knows. Under orders from Demi, Artemis and Viper are told to eliminate Jenny after her violent attack on Mr. Breward cost them a major deal. However, Jenny manages to crash their car deep in the woods. Seizing the opportunity, she cuts through her restraints and escapes into the forest. Her hope is short-lived when she flags down a police cruiser, only to realize it's driven by the corrupt officers, Von Trask and Detweiler. They capture her and return her to the trafficker's compound. As Viper and Artemis prepare to kill her, a call comes in from Broward. Instead of finishing her off, he decides to give her a second chance, this time demanding she remain dirty, conscious, and submissive. Elsewhere, Simon storms into Demi's nightclub accompanied by his volatile enforcer, Carp, who fires a gun into the ceiling, terrifying the patrons. Simon confronts Demi, revealing Levon's true identity and warning him that Levon is coming for him. Shortly after Simon departs, Levon arrives. Without hesitation, he shoots Demi through the hand to disable him, then forces him at gunpoint to lead him to the trafficker's compound. At the edge of the property, Demi tries to justify his crimes, claiming someone else would be doing this if not him. Levon coldly kicks him into a creek and executes him, then storms the compound. Just as Broward is brought in by Artemis and Viper to assault Jenny once again, Levon detonates a grenade, throwing the compound into chaos. Levon tears through the Bratva guards with ruthless efficiency. Reinforcements arrive in the form of Dutch and his biker gang. After killing the gang members, Levon engages Dutch in a brutal knife fight. Despite the ferocity of the battle, Levon kills Dutch and respectfully honors him as a fellow warrior. Inside, Jenny seizes a chance to fight back. As Broward approaches her, Levon bursts in and shoots him dead. Jenny then locks her legs around Artemis's neck in a desperate struggle. Levon brutally finishes off Viper by crushing his neck with his elbow, while Jenny strangles Artemis until her neck snaps. Levon rescues Jenny, but danger still lurks. Outside, Carp and two more goons prepare to fight. At the same time, Von Trask and Detweiler arrive, but Carp, unaware they're on his side, opens fire and blows up their cruiser. Levon dispatches Carp and the remaining men, then finds a motorcycle and escapes the burning compound with Jenny. Simon watches them flee and, in desperation, calls his brother Yuri. But Yuri coldly responds, saying, "The devil got what he came for," and warns Simon to stand down. No one from the organization will back him in a vendetta against Levon. Enraged and abandoned, Simon screams into the sky, vowing revenge on his own. Finally, Levon brings Jenny home. Her family, Joe, Carla, and the rest, welcome her back with tears of joy. In a quiet, emotional moment, they thank Levon for saving her life. He then visits Gunny's home, where Mary greets him warmly. As they sit down for breakfast, Gunny looks at Levon and says with a smile, "You're home now."